Darkness. Darkness is the common fear of all mankind. With a show of hands, how many of you guys are scared of the dark? As expected, a large amount of you guys are. Ever since we were a child, we all became scared of turning off the light and going to bed. Even a nightlight didn't seem to help, because what do you have when you have light in the midst of darkness and an object such as a nightlight? Shadows. And under the naive eyes of a child, the shadows turn into monsters. Now, one of the more vivid memories I have of when I was a child was a game I played with my friends called Chicken. So this game, the point of this game was to stay in a dark basement for as long as we could, with only one head flashlight and one walkie-talkie. And of course, the longer you stayed there, the more braver you were deemed. And I don't know if you guys know what an unfinished basement looks like, but untiled ceiling and a floor exposing concrete looked like a prison to me when I was a child. So of course, in this game, I chickened out every time. But the point of this saying is that even at an early age, we were able to use darkness to simulate fear into even the little games we played as children. Many of you guys have gotten over this fear for the most part, but I tell you, this is a fear that no one can 100% get over. The fear of darkness is embedded into who we are as humans. And as humans, we all fear what we cannot see. And when we cannot see an object that is in front of us, our creative thinking expands and exaggerates the situation, making something so trivial, something so big. And as I was researching this topic, I came across some studies, and one interesting study that I read about happened in the mid-1900s, and it happened between two cave explorers by the name of Laurie and Senai. So these cave explorers, for scientific research, decided to each spend 88 and 126 days in a dark cave, just for scientific research. And during that time, they only had rats to keep them company. And actually, one of them tried to catch a rat with his hat, but he ended up crushing it. So talk about not only living in a dark and gloomy environment, but also a sneaky one. And when they emerged and tests were conducted on them, the results were phenomenal. When they were asked the time and date, they were off by not a few days, weeks, but a whole month. And when they were monitored, they slept at times 30 hours continuously. Another study was done by British scientists, and this was done on a stand-up comedian. And you guys know how stand-up comedians are like. They're always joking and jovial. Well, just after 2 days in a dark cell, the stand-up comedian confessed hallucinating zebras, heaps of oysters, and the dark room just flying off with him in it. In just 2 days, the man had gone deprived of his normal sense of life. And you know, darkness can also be used on a lighter point of view. Imagine this, for the guys at least. Imagine you just scored a hot date with a girl. So you decide to go to the movie theaters. Well, you want to be a thing, and as the climax of the movie is already over, and it's rolling to the resolution, you decide to make a move for it. So what do? As your heart's beating a bit faster and faster, you inch your pinky, inch by inch, to the tip of her hand, until she grabs it. Well, congratulations, you guys are a thing. Well, what contributed to that guy having the audacious, bold move on a first date? As you guys guessed, darkness. Darkness allowed him to not have a sensory overload as his heart was beating faster, and it helped him decrease his sense of sight, which helped him to have the courage to make that bold move. Darkness can also be used as a catalyst for fear. How many of you guys have ever watched a horror movie? Seeing that most of you guys have, you guys can all relate to just after watching that horror movie, just trudging away upstairs and looking for that light switch as you stare into that vast sea of darkness. Because none of the lights upstairs are turned on. But you know your heart's beating faster again, and you look at that sea of darkness, and your mind, your safe room, it's a murder place for hiding for murder clowns. I don't know if you guys are scared of that, but that's what I'm scared of. Well, and I want you guys to think about why I'm talking about a topic that you guys never really think about and experience every day. And while many of us are fortunate to experience healthy levels of darkness and light in our daily lives, but as history shows, many people have not. An example, Vietnamese citizens during the Vietnamese War. During the Vietnamese War, Vietnamese citizens had to hide in dark tunnels underground for days and weeks and months. Imagine living like this for that long of a time. and we start to go crazy. A more modern example, Syrian refugees, hiding in their own crumbling homes, scared of what the outside world holds for them. They have to use the darkness as a cloak to hide themselves, and they have to live like this for even years, if they survive that long. And I don't mean to end this on a dark note, no pun intended, but I want you guys to think about how something so vast, a force so vast across the universe, impacts us from entire civilizations to each one of us, to the little games we play as children. Thank you.